Have you ever wondered why Nigeria, as one of Africa's biggest oil producers, is still struggling to translate its vast oil wealth into national prosperity? Even after decades of oil exploration and billions of barrels pumped across the globe, our country still struggles with basic infrastructure. In areas outside major city centers like Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and Kano, most citizens still complain of a total lack of government presence. Simply blaming this on corruption is a massive understatement. It fails to reveal the real story hidden deep beneath the waters of the Niger Delta, in an ultra-deepwater field known as OPL 245. For years, Nigeria operated an opaque oil block allocation system, largely behind closed doors. Before recent reforms introduced competitive bidding rounds, some of the country's most valuable oil assets were awarded through discretionary processes controlled by powerful officials. Critics argued these blocks were used as political rewards, gifts for allies, and tools of patronage, rather than engines of national development. OPL 245 lies roughly 150 kilometers offshore, sitting in waters up to 2,000 meters deep. It contains an estimated 9 billion barrels of crude oil reserves, representing nearly a quarter of Nigeria's entire proven oil reserves. While a lot can be said about our numerous blocks, OPL 245 stands out. It serves as a stark reminder of our past travels on the journey of nation building. This is the story of OPL 245. On April 29, 1998, during the final months of General Sani Abacha's regime, oil prospecting license 245 was awarded to a newly registered company called Malabu Oil and Gas. It was later revealed that Nigeria's sitting petroleum minister, Dan Etete, secretly owned a 30% stake in Malabu, using the fictitious alias Kweku Amafega. Effectively, he awarded one of Africa's richest oil fields to himself. General Abacha died suddenly in June 1998, and Nigeria transitioned to civilian rule shortly afterwards. In March 2001, Malabu signed a farm-in contract surrendering a 40% stake in the oil block to Shell Nigeria Ultra Deep Limited. But just a few months later, in July of 2001, the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo abruptly revoked Malabu's license. In 2002, the government re-awarded the block entirely to Shell. This then sparked off a decade of intense legal warfare, international arbitrations, and counter-lawsuits between Malabu, Shell, and the federal government. Desperate to break the deadlock, the government stepped back in on April 29, 2011, under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. Attorney General Mohammed Bello Adoke brokered a massive resolution agreement. Under this deal, Shell and E&I paid $1.3 billion into a Nigerian government escrow account with JP Morgan in London. The federal government kept $210 million as a signature bonus and transferred the remaining $1.092 billion to Malabu to buy out Dan Etete's claims. OPL 245 was then cleanly allocated to Shell and E&I. But international investigators soon focused on the glaring question: where did that $1.1 billion go? According to international prosecutors, the money didn't go to the public treasury. Instead, it flowed through Malabu into private accounts linked to middlemen, power brokers, and politicians. This triggered what global media called the oil industry's biggest corruption scandal, leading to years of criminal trials in Milan and London. Names like Mohammed Abacha, who used the pseudonym Mohammed Sani, Senior government executives and international oil bosses surfaced repeatedly as investigators traced financial flows across borders. Though Italian courts eventually acquitted ENI and Shell and their executives of all corruption charges in 2021, the real tragedy was structural. For nearly 30 years, an asset capable of pumping more than 50,000 barrels of oil per day sat completely abandoned and untouched because of legal battles. Now here is the turning point. In March 2026, the tide finally turned. President Bola Tinubu oversaw a historic settlement agreement that brought the multi-decade OPL 245 dispute to an end, paving the way for international oil companies to finally invest and drill. The real story of OPL 245 is not just about who won or lost the court cases. It is a window into how power used to operate in Nigeria's oil industry, an opaque system where the lines between public wealth and private interests were completely blurred. And as the drill finally prepared to move into OPL 245, it leaves us asking one final question. How many other oil blocks followed the exact same playbook?